The overall organisational structure of the UCI is that the sport is controlled by a board of management, of which I am the president. It's a 15-man board with 10 representatives of Europe, from Europe, and also then the rest come from the other 4 continents, the president of each of the other 4 continents. That's the board of management which decides the strategies of the sport. We meet 3 times a year. At our World Cyclocross Championships at the end of January, we meet in mid-June, and we meet at our World Road Championships in September. After that, we have the actual day-to-day running of the UCI, the day-to-day management of the sport, and that is done from the offices, our headquarters here in Aigle in Switzerland. My role as president is that of an executive president. It's a full-time job, so to speak. And we also have here a Director General of the UCI as well, who is responsible for all the administration and the administrative aspects of the sport, because we've close on 70 people working here. And so the day-to-day management and the day-to-day decisions in relation to the running of the sport are taken by the staff of the UCI in a very professional way, but the overall strategy of the sport are decided by the Management Committee. I've been involved in the sport of cycling all my life. I was a cyclist myself. When I finished my career, I went into administration at a national level with the Irish Federation. I became president of the Federation for 4 years in the mid-90s. And during that time I was also in a professional capacity organising events in Ireland, in the UK and even in Asia as well. I organised events for the best part of 20 years. During that time, in the mid-90s, likewise, I came onto the board of the UCI and sat on the board for 8 years before I became president. So it really is I've been involved in all different aspects of the sport, and that to a large extent helps me actually in the role of president. The key professional traits to be successful in the daily work of running a sports organisation such as is the UCI is, first of all, to have a strategy, have a vision for the sport, know where you want to take the sport, and then not to be afraid to take some hard decisions in relation to what you have to do. There's the diplomatic aspect of it, and you need to be, deal with the diplomacy and dealing with your federations on a regular basis in terms of particularly in travelling to meet the federations within their own territory and meet the various responsibles for sport in the country, the ministers and so forth. That's one aspect of it. And then the aspect of the daily running of the sport is to follow the strategies, to take the decisions, and then to support those decisions, even though it may at times bring you into conflict with certain stakeholders within the sport. Once you know you're doing something for the overall benefit of the sport, decisions which have been taken in an objective manner and not taken because of a vested interest, then you need to have that strength and will and resolve to carry it through. The vision for world cycling is that it becomes a major sport on all corners of the world. Cycling would be recognised as a European sport. Its base and its historical base is in Western Europe. But the vision of the UCI, and particularly since I became president, is to globalise the sport. We're under pressure from the International Olympic Committee to globalise the sport, and indeed we have our own reasons for doing it as well, because there is a huge potential for the sport of cycling on the other continents outside Europe. So without neglecting Europe, which we cannot do, we have to build and develop the sport on all of the other continents and bring forward strategies to assist us in developing the sport on the other continents. And my vision for this sport would be that in 4 or 5 years' time, or maybe 10 years' time, that we have major races, major teams, major circuits of races on the other 4 continents outside of Europe. In 5 years' time, I see us, controlling and developing a much bigger sport of cycling. We have, for instance, started, the globalization very much with the road discipline, and we already within a couple of years see a big success and a big improvement in the number of events and the number of teams on the other continents. And now we've got to do the same with the other disciplines. We have the new discipline of BMX coming into the Olympic Games this year for the first time. We're looking possibly to expand that for the London Olympic Games by bringing in a further discipline of BMX, which could be freestyle BMX. So that is, from a UCI's point of view, it's very important and very good, because it gives the UCI an avenue into the youth market and into bringing young people into the sport that then we can bring forward as they develop and grow into the other disciplines within the sport. So I see a big synergy between the different disciplines, and that we on a global basis, that each of the disciplines is improving and growing dramatically. The decision process is the Board of Management make all the strategic decisions. After that, then the day-to-day decisions are taken in this office. I am responsible for the day-to-day decisions of the staff here in relation to sports elements, and I report on a regular basis to the Management Committee between the meetings. We have 3 meetings a year, as I've said, and between those meetings I report regularly to the Management Committee on the different issues that we might be involved in, and giving them updates as to what our decisions have been within those issues. Within the different disciplines, I would be involved in making decisions along with the coordinators of each discipline, and indeed the commissions. We have elected commissions, appointed commissions in each of the major disciplines, and the president and the members of those commissions would look after the day-to-day strategic decisions in relation to the development of the particular discipline, and I then would see to it that those strategies are followed by the coordinators here within the staff. I think the most successful strategies over the past 10 years brought in place by the management of the UCI have been professionalising the sport at the highest level. And when I say professionalising it, it was quite quite unstructured, and with sponsors coming and going on a very regular basis, with no guarantees, no stability. There was quite a lot of black money involved in terms of contracts for riders and so forth. So we have over the past 10 years worked very heavily with the different interested groups, with the Riders Association, with the Teams Association, and so forth, in developing proper structures and proper administrative structures for teams that they're run in a very professional way. That's at the highest level. Other than that, then the other major decision which our management committee took some 7 or 8 years ago was the investing and the building of this World Cycling Centre here in Aigle in Switzerland. And this has been open now for 5 years, and it's been a huge success, and it's an example for many more other international federations who regularly come to visit us here. And we have, in the 5 years that we've had this World Cycling Centre, we have welcomed representatives, athletes from some 70 different national federations who have come and spent periods of time training here, be it on the track, be it on the road, be it mountain biking or BMX even. We have a BMX track built beside us here. So that is very important for the development of our sport, and the World Cycling Centre plays a key role in dealing with the national federations in the outlying districts and in the outlying continents to try and develop the sport. So those would be the two probably main, most important things, that areas of work which we've had. I think the biggest achievement, as I think I've already said, from the UCI in terms of the Beijing Olympic Games would be the introduction of BMX, which is a new discipline of the sport of cycling, which is coming into the Olympic Games for the first time in Beijing. We've had a test event last August which was very successful. The sport of BMX is booming throughout the world at the moment in anticipation of the Olympic Games, and I have no doubt, and we have no doubt, that once the event takes place in August in Beijing, it's going to further propel the sport into great development in the coming years. And then when we look at what we're currently discussing with the International Olympic Committee, the possibility of bringing BMX freestyle into the London Olympic Games, that again is going to be a huge input for the sport, and a hugely important development for the sport, particularly because these disciplines are aimed at the youth and the young people who we want to try and attract into our sport at a young age. So I think that probably is our biggest, the thing we're really anticipating most in Beijing. Other than that, we have a very full program in the Olympic Games, with the road events, with the track events, with the mountain bike, and indeed the BMX. And a road event, which is the first event, the men's road race, which is on the first Sunday of the Olympic Games, actually starts in Beijing and goes out and finishes out by the Great Wall of China, which will provide some magnificent images, television images, of the Great Wall as the race goes around a circuit out by the Great Wall. And I think from cycling's point of view, it will deliver a huge amount to the actual Olympic Games and the image of the Olympic Games as we start the 2 weeks. We have a very good relationship with both IOC and the BOCOG executive. Over the past 5 years now, or 6 years since Beijing was elected to host the Olympic Games in 2008, we have had regular visits out there to China. In the early days, it was out there to select the various courses and to discuss in broad outline our disciplines and get them working on the different disciplines of cycling. As we progressed into the test event phase, which was last year, we were there quite a lot more often, and now it's really the final small details that we're dealing with now. We have a very good relationship with them, with the sports department, and each of our coordinators here, and we have a person who is solely responsible for working here, solely responsible for relationships with BOCOG and the UCI. And also we've got a Chinese girl working here for the past 3 years that we employed purely because of the Olympic Games taking place in Beijing, because she can then, because of her knowledge of the language, can communicate immediately on things that we need. In relation to the International Olympic Committee, likewise, we have somebody here who deals on a day-to-day basis with the